Hello my friends, it's Fanny. Welcome to a little bit of a chit chat, and it's the 1st of January, so welcome to the roaring 20s. It feels rather absurd, but you know, we'll have to make the best of it. Yeah, I just thought I'd have a little chat today. There are some things that have been on my mind and I just want to talk about them. One of the things that's mostly been on my mind actually has been, well, mental health. It's been, I think it's often on many people's minds and in them, the feelings of like being certain about things. What I'm particularly talking about now is since I was at least a teenager, and probably before then, I have despised this town that I'm now living in, that I lived in for most of my life. And I mean, I hated it as much as you can hate a place for no good reason, actually. And since discovering that I, for a pretty long time, had a very low-grade case of depression, which manifested in lack of energy and just like no drive to really do anything, and the general feeling of things just not being what I wanted them to be, like just a sort of gray fog that just drained my energy all the time. And I didn't know that was a symptom of depression. I thought you had to be like sad all the time and suicidal. That should have a trigger warning. Or like really hate everybody and get into fights and like lots of other things that I now read up on, that it's not always that. It's sometimes just exhaustion and being tired in a way that you can't really explain to people or for no good reason. So since I tried keto, and I first got into ketosis, which took a little while because before your body adapts and everything starts working. Like after doing that and noticing my energy levels like increasing so much from just that actually kind of small change, like no medications, no nothing, just changing that part. And I'm not saying that will work for everybody, unfortunately, but it did work for me. And that change, it has led to many different things sort of coming into perspective, or me being able to see them in other ways. So whereas before I could get out of bed, but I would not leave my house. Like now I go on walks intentionally, and I want to do that. It's not like I'm forcing myself. I'm just like, oh, I want to go for a walk, and then I go for a walk. So there's no having to like work up the motivation to do it. It's just there. Like the outside is outside, and the sun doesn't even have to be shining for me to go outside. And that is such a drastic change from how I used to be. And I can see beauty in things that I couldn't see before, even on a gray day, like really overcast, maybe even a bit of a drizzle. And I look across the sugar beet fields and I kind of see beauty there. Whereas before it would have just been, this is gray, this is damp, I hate the wind, I despise this place, I don't want to be here, I want to go away. Like now I just go like, oh, like over there's the sun, I can see it, and the dampness doesn't bother me as much. It's such a weird change of mind. I didn't think it was my brain chemistry that was wrong. I thought it was like the place I was in that was wrong. And coming to that realization is very very strange. And it was such an odd feeling that for many years, for as long as I can remember, hating a place and then suddenly not. And I can't really explain it any other way than my brain. the hating thing in my brain sort of just stopped. It's quite amazing. I can now, like, yeah, I can see the beauty in this place. Whereas before I didn't see any. So yeah, that's what's been on my mind for a while. I don't know how to explain that any better. And what have I planned for the next coming year? The present year now, actually. The new decade. Well, that's something to think about, isn't it? I do have a lot of plans. I have one of those brains that keeps brainstorming ideas, but nothing really happens. So my plan is to actually start doing some shit, getting some things done, because, well, I don't think I'm an idiot. I don't think that my ideas wouldn't have potential. I obviously don't suffer from any self-doubt, really. What I need to do is have the grit to put in the work. And that, generally, and for a lot of people, truth to be told, is the challenge. To find the energy and motivation to do things. But since I now have kind of found the key to where my roadblocks were, or not the roadblocks, but the brakes that were on the engine brakes, kind of, because since I found those and sort of loosened them, I can start doing things, I think. And that's quite a good feeling. I think that can make a big change in my life if I'm just serious about it. And the weird thing is that, you know, over Christmas you sort of go back to eating your traditional Christmas foods and things, and during the basically end of November until the after Christmas, like, what I've been eating have not been the things that are good for me, and I have known what I've been doing. So I've been eating a lot of wheat dough, whereas I know that I should be avoiding grains pretty much altogether. I don't think I'm gluten intolerant in that way. I just think that grains in general and their anti-nutrients are not good for me. They make me not absorb the things I need to feel good. And I absolutely adore saffron buns, or lussekatter. They are one of the best pastries in the world, according to me, or baked goods. And you can make them in many different ways, and I baked some really, really delicious ones this year. I used brioche dough, or the brioche method, to make these wheat buns. I'm truly not talking about it. I love bread, but it is not good for me. And so I've chosen not to do that for quite a while. I will never be extremely strict with my diet, because with that comes a general lethargy, which I cannot live with. It makes me not live my life to the fullest, and it's just not worth it. But now and then I will sometimes indulge myself, because I think that is good for you a little bit. As long as you don't do it often, I think you can actually live a good life while also eating things that aren't the best for you. It's like with alcohol. Like, don't go drinking all the time, because that is not good for you. But if you have a glass of wine with some friends in a social setting, like that, I don't think that's as bad for you as not having that social situation. Like, you know, there's gotta be balance in life. And I gotta stop saying just to fill the air or fill the moment, because is filler. It's like saying like all the time. It's quite unnecessary. I need to work on my eloquence. I was talking about diet, yes. So during the entirety of December, pretty much, I ate trash. Actually, not trash, because the things that were cooked, they were delicious. Like, they were amazing. They were the highest quality of that sort of thing. Like, I made our traditional rice porridge, and it was amazing. And I ate all the good things. The problem is that they were not that great for me, as I've said. So after Christmas, I realized that no, I gotta stop, because there was one day when I felt so down, I could sort of start feeling that grayness creeping back. And if you've ever been depressed and gotten rid of it, you know the terror that creeping exhaustion, draining gray fog that brings. And that is enough of a threat for me to sort of get back on track. Like, start doing the things I know are good for me. Like, simplify my food. Eat bacon, eggs, meat, the good things, a bit of fish, cheese, because I'm not lactose intolerant. Yay, fortunately. But not overindulging, just eating. I eat until I'm full and I'm happy, and I feel so much better already. It's been 2 days, I've been back on track properly, and the difference that makes in my head is astounding. And I wasn't actually intending for this to be a chat entirely about diet, because, like I said, with the indulgence and things, and I let Christmas, or the entirety of December, be that indulgence, because it's winter, it's cold, it's gray outside, it's not very much fun, and it's a holiday, and I wanted to participate properly in that. Maybe next year I'll do an experiment and not eat the grainy things, but at the same time, like, I gotta give myself permission to do that. And I've recently watched a few videos of health gurus here on YouTube, which I quite enjoy doing. I follow Miss Fit and Nerdy and also Thomas DeLauer, I think is his name, and both of them spoke about this thing with cheat meals or cheat days, and how those are actually counterproductive in a way, because calling it cheating is sort of says that you're not allowed to do it, while making it sort of a part of, make it an active choice every day to be healthy, rather than all the time like having a cheat meal once a week. Instead, you choose, like, you're not actually restricting yourself, but eat what keeps you healthy because it keeps you healthy, and you make a conscious choice rather than feeling restricted, sort of, because you are allowed to have a piece of chocolate. That's your choice. But instead of having it, you have something that's better for you. Actually, I don't think that chocolate is that bad for you, especially if it's dark chocolate and not milk chocolate and not too much sugar and stuff like that. Have one piece of chocolate, and then that's it. Or if you're not hungry, like if you've eaten enough of the good foods, you won't want that much chocolate. So nourish yourself, like eat nourishing foods that make you full, and you won't feel the need for that little piece of chocolate, or maybe just a little piece of chocolate and not the whole bar. Like I said before, it's about balance. And I'm not a nutritionist. You go read all the things that you want and follow whatever guidelines you want. I'm not here to preach. Well, I'm actually sort of feeling like I'm preaching. But yeah, I've been having some revelations in my life, like feeling like things are getting clearer. I kind of know what I want to do and where I want to go, and I have a lot of plans that I feel like I have the tools to get the energy to actually get them done. And that feels quite amazing for a person who's, for 20 years maybe, felt like they were kind of in a fog. That fog is like, it dissipates sometimes when you try new things and you move somewhere new and you get to do new things, but then every day sort of happens and the grayness comes back because the brain doesn't produce enough dopamine, or actually some brains produce too much dopamine, which I think is the case in my head. Like, so actually I don't know, but I read an interesting article recently that said that some brains, like depending on what, not error, but what chemicals it produces the most of, it produces different effects. Like, I have never been one to look for tension in my life, really, because my brain produces enough dopamine as it is. Like, I do love traveling because those new impressions sort of give me a lot of that excitement sort of gives me enough, but I don't know, drugs and alcohol and all those things, doing dangerous things, no, that's not really my thing. I've never needed that high a dose of dopamine. But on the other hand, then it sort of down regulates, or I don't have enough noradrenaline, I think, to kickstart me to do things. So, you need balance in your brain chemistry. Even too much dopamine is bad because it makes you sort of lazy. Yeah. I don't know where I was going with that, but I think it's an interesting thought that even the pieces of the brain chemistry that are good for you can be too good. And they make you sort of not optimal. Not that you have to be productive every moment of every day, because I don't think that's a good mindset either. And trying to be that will definitely burn you out one way or another, or one day. So try to find, like I said before, balance in your life. Indulge and then be reasonable and have fun, but also be responsible. Like, there's gotta be balance. Be social and be antisocial as much as you want. I'm not actually antisocial. I kind of like people, but they tire me out, so I'm asocial. That's the, I think, the term that fits me the best. You know what? I think I should say this because a lot of people are very pessimistic nowadays, and I realize why. Some politicians and elections and stuff make us feel like things are not going great in the world. A lot of things and choices are made out of fear. But I would like to say that if we stick together, those of us that sort of have not a brighter future, but those that want good things to happen for others, if we stick together and just keep raising our voices and making sure that every injustice is highlighted and shared, and really making sure that we will not sweep anything under the rug, I think there is still hope. Because I've noticed that a lot of people are sort of giving up. But this is the 20s. Like, this is when things start to happen again. Like, we can make good things happen. We're in a new decade. Leave the 2010s and make this new decade a really good thing. Because we can. It's not impossible. And the world is not doomed. Humanity is not doomed. And I'm saying that while there are bushfires in Australia, I know. I'm coming from a place of privilege with that. But 2 years ago, 2 summers ago, we had horrible forest fires here in Sweden. So it happens everywhere, but at the same time, we're still here. You're watching my video. You survived. We can survive several more years, several more disasters, as long as we stick together. And that's how humanity has worked for its entire history. Like, when things start going bad, stick together. Make sure that things swing the other way, that the bad ones don't win, basically. What was it Gandalf said? That it's the small actions of everyday people that bring good into the world, not the major entire, like, you know, those fights. What's it called? Yeah, it's the small actions every day that bring good into the world and fights the darkness, rather than just one big epic battle on the battlefield, because that's not really how the world works. So choose to make the world a better place every day. It's actually kind of in your power to do that. It's in how you respond to other people. Even if you're in a bad mood, I understand. It's hard to smile at people. If you're depressed, it might not reach your face. I mean, you might not even be able to. You might not even be able to leave your house. But I at least hope that someone then reaches out to you and that you can respond. And I hope and I wish for everyone to have a great coming decade. Yeah, respond kindly to people. You don't know what's going on in their day, and I know it's kind of naive, but I believe that in almost every every person, there's something good, and that should be nourished, that should be fed. Like, you can maybe smile at a stranger, maybe smile at, like, the bus driver or something. You don't really owe them that. I'm not gonna say that, but with a little smile you can make his day better. If it doesn't cost you anything, why not? But if someone tells you to smile, fucking throttle them. They have no business saying what you need to wear on your face. Yeah. So that's my opinion and my thoughts on what I hope will happen in the coming decade. Make it a good one. I'm gonna try. Alright, I will see you in my next video. Bye!